Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having an amazing morning. I hope y'all got really good rest because, low key, if you don't, you're probably gonna have a really bad day. But, anyways, let's just get straight to the video. This video is like, I think this video might help a lot of young men out there who seem lost, don't know where to go in their life, and probably just going with whatever their parents say. They're not really making decisions for themselves, and I think it's very important for you to find your purpose, especially very young, so you can work on it. And once you start working on it young, you can you know, build something really good when the time comes. Because I don't want you to live your entire life and then eventually reach like 30 or something and have like a midlife crisis or some shit because you don't know where you want to go in life. Because if you don't know your purpose in life, how are you gonna like live a fulfilling life? And I feel like a lot of guys don't understand that because they're distracted by girls and all this stuff, but low key the girls are still going to be there even when you're 50, 60, or whatever. But like if you have hella money at like 50, 60, you're probably still going to have like people who are in their 20s coming at you, man. This is just how the world works, man. So um yeah, I think this video could really help you out. So let's get straight into it. I remember when I was younger, I used to be scared of not finding my purpose and how I was told to go to college and get a 9 to 5, get a good job, and work for someone else my entire life until you eventually retire at like 60 or like 70, where you can't even enjoy your life because you're old and you can't really do much, right? You have all the time in the world, but really you're gonna be like um slow as hell. You're not gonna be as mobile as you would, and then you probably have to take medication or something because you probably weren't gonna take care of yourself the entire time. You're probably doing these bad habits like smoking, drinking, you're not working out, eating healthy or anything like that, eating shit food. Low key shit food is fucking up your life too. It's making you stupid. I'm gonna make a video about that later, right after this video, after I'm done filming. How does solitude play into this? Well, we are lost because we are constantly told where to go. We have no idea what we like or where we want to go. Okay, we basically don't know who we are, right? We need to find out who we are. And the only way to find out who we truly are and not live by someone else, because I feel like a lot of us live by other people. Like, I know a lot of people who don't want to go to college, yet they still go to college because they're too scared to tell their parents no. Like, you're 18, you have the power, you have a voice, and if you don't want to waste all your money going to college, like, here's the thing, okay? If I chose to go to college and I knew I didn't want to go, I'm basically wasting 4 years of my life, putting myself in thousands of dollars of debt, and yet I'm still not gonna live a fulfilling, happy life because I'm not going for what I actually want. Because I'm trying to fulfill the needs or the please other people. And in this video, I'm gonna show you that, like, low key, at a certain point, you kind of have to be selfish. Okay, if people are interrupting your solitude, you need to, like, I don't know, you need to like get away from them. You need to get away from people because you're basically told by social media, by your parents, by your friends, by your family, by your spouse to like do these things, but really you need to find out what you need to decide for yourself what is good for you. Okay. We're basically living for someone else and constantly distracted by many things: money, girls, fame, social media, etc. How are you going to hear, listen, or listen to your inner calling if you are bombarded by these distractions? Okay, you can't, or you won't. So by going away and distancing yourself, by being in solitude alone, you can actually listen to yourself, hear yourself, figure out what you don't like, prove to yourself who you really are. Actually, I built a lot of confidence from solitude because I used to go for runs, which was one of the ways I would be in solitude. First of all, be in my room, journal, meditate, all that stuff. Those are all really good stuff. I'm gonna go more into detail about that later in this video, but like you basically gain a lot of stuff from being alone. Okay, listening to your inner thoughts, because really we're smart as hell. We can do a lot of things, and the more things we prove to ourselves that we can do, the more value we bring to the world, right? If I feel like in this world you need confidence. First of all, you need to break your limits, because everybody has limits like in their comfort zone. And the more you expand, the more you learn, the more confidence you will get, happier you'll be, and the better service you will provide to this world. Okay. And I think that's generally like a really good life to live, right? Because if you are confident, you probably have a lot of girls. You probably have um the confidence to leave a girl, because I feel like a lot of guys don't know how to leave a girl. And trust me, I know it's hard. I've been there. I'd even want to leave a girl, but you have to sacrifice them for a little bit, bro. Your entire life is dependent on the work you provide, the purpose, basically your purpose in life. Like, what do you provide to the world? And I don't want you to die without like having a legacy or something, you know? I want to die with a legacy. I want to die helping millions of people, leave my impact in the world, making the world a better place right before I leave, with my creativity, my brain, my mind, and my power, my confidence. I want to help all you guys, everyone out there, so I can um have a really good life, for one, while I'm living it. Second, when I die, people are going to remember me, and I still have my videos and still learn from me. And then when they learn from me, when the next generation comes, if they learn young enough, they can actually evolve and improve faster. I think that's a very important life to live. Okay, that's very purposeful for me. That's why I make these videos. Okay, so yeah, so solitude is very important. So like I used to run a lot. So in the past, I would be by myself running. You don't really have anybody there else with you 90% of the time when you're running, because it's just you basically in your mind. Because I remember I used to be in my head a lot, look down at the floor, and couldn't really look up. You can't really look up if you are always at the floor, shallow breathing. It's always good to keep your head up, breathe. You know, even fixing your posture could help, but that's not the point. The point is like I should not be able to trust myself, or I didn't have the confidence to, because I didn't prove to myself that I could build confidence. Every time I tried something hard and it got like just a little bit hard, I would quit. Working out, it hurts too much, or blah 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 blah. But eventually, if you push through it, I realize that now when I run, I know I'm gonna hit like roadblocks. The first part of my run, like the first like 8-10 minutes, basically the first mile, I'm feeling like amazing, and then eventually I hit like this block where I start to feel a lot of pain in my calves, or just like not a lot, but like a little bit of pain in my calves. And then if I just keep on pushing through it, I hit like this second win. It's like basically getting over the hill, and then afterwards you feel you have all this energy, and like you just keep on going, the momentum, you just keep on flying, which is like crazy good. Yeah, but eventually I just got really good at it, and I trust myself more. Like I'm like, okay, I can get through this. And then at some point I would run so far out, okay? Like this is when I started learning, expanding and stuff. Like I started exploring new places. It's always good to explore new places, but I would expand, make progress in exploring the town I'm in, and the more I did that, the more happy I would be. But I would go like four. I think I remember running the Target because I was like, shit, that's a fun challenge. And plus, I needed to get like a hair dryer for this hairstyle that I wanted to do for a little bit. I think I'll put up a picture like right here or some shit. But I actually ran to Target like two different times, and I think it was like 6 miles to get to Target and then 6 miles back. So that shit was fun, but that shit kind of sucked. But like like you're gonna make it home. If you know you're gonna make it home, and like you visualize yourself, like if you ever get stuck like on your run or something, like just to visualize yourself like I'm making it home. Because if I don't make it home, then like you know, I'm like personally, I'm not quitting in my mind. I'm like, I'm not quitting. Even if I get cramps, even if I whatever, I'm making it home, even if I have to crawl. I remember one time, no, it was literally running from Target. I was on my way back, and I have like this little neighborhood over here back at the back of my house, and that's the route I took. And I reached the neighborhood and both my legs cramp up and I'm still like inching a little bit more and more and more because like like you have a destination, you have a goal, you have a focus, you have something to work towards and make progress towards. And each step it hurt. Low key it hurt. I was laughing. But like it was like those moments that you prove to yourself that you break your limits. And I think that's what David Goggins did. Low key, it makes so much sense now how and why David Goggins did what he did. Plus, I also got that mental clarity afterwards. If after you run, if you get that mental clarity, it really helps with you. Okay, but Loki, maybe that could be part of solitude too. Like if you like, I listen to music while I run. Sometimes I just breathe while I run. Like I just take off my headphones, meditate while I run. I'm just there. Sometimes you just overstimulate yourself and you can't really listen to yourself, so you're just overdoing it. You need to like calm, relax, because if you're irrational and you're overstimulated, you're obviously not going to feel your best, and when you don't feel your best, you're going to be irrational, and when you're irrational, you're not going to make the best decisions or be able to listen to yourself properly. Okay, because you're not thinking properly, right? So um yeah, basically I just proved to myself that I could do it. you know you fail, you fail, you fail, and then eventually you succeed. And if you succeed by yourself, you prove to yourself that you can do it. Okay, you build confidence, you build self-esteem, and then when you start building that, you start to trust yourself more. And after you trust yourself more, you start to you start relying on other people for trust, love, attention, and respect. I get all those things because I provide it to myself. I respect myself by not eating junk food. I love myself more by not eating junk food. I like love myself more when I work out, when I take care of myself, go to bed early so I can wake up early and make these YouTube videos for y'all. That's something that we should all do. I love myself every time I look in the mirror and I'm just like, hey, I love myself. Like you should tell yourself you love yourself, because really at the end of the day all you have is yourself. Okay, if you're talking shit to yourself, why the hell are you talking shit? You should love yourself, because it's you and you 24/7. You are the only person who has all those thoughts, right? You think of what you think about. And if you can't love yourself and you can't tap in and like get it to the source, you can't get it from the source. The source is you. You're basically God. God lives inside all of us, right? We're basically consciousness. How else do you think that we humans, like um well, obviously we're humans. I don't know why I put quotations, but but like we are more than just our physical body. Okay, if you don't think so, um then just try and relax a bit. Okay, because I know a lot of people are atheists and stuff like that, but I think they just don't believe in God because they haven't had the time to relax, or they had like a really shitty traumatized life. Because a lot of people who live like a really traumatized life, and they're like, oh, I'm so fucked up. Why, how could a God let me do this? Why would God let me do this, or whatever? You're not let this happen to me. But I feel like if there okay, you gotta see it this way. If there's good in this life, there obviously has to be a polar opposite, right? If we got heaven and hell, then we have happiness and sadness. We have anger and calmness. There's a yin yang. whatever everywhere, okay? And it's beautiful actually. And I know that sounds difficult to say, even though if there's like rape and there's all this bad stuff like drugs and stuff like that, you know. And what I gotta say to this is, if there's a lot of good in this world, there has to be a lot of evil in this world for it to be balanced. How else is everything going to be balanced, you know? If God is all powerful, He can make anything, you know? If He can create anything, He can create good and then the most evil ever, you know? Who says God isn't good or evil? Who says He's not both? He's not, He could be the same, okay? If He's the all powerful creator, who says He can't be both the God, you know, in heaven and then the devil down below, right? If you think about it that way, like low key, there's just too many things for there not to be a God. There's atoms, there's all that stuff. But I'm not trying to make you believe in God or anything. That's just a side note. I probably won't put that even in the video. But um, basically, what I'm saying is that like we have the power, okay, by thinking and having God inside of your imagination. I read this book by Carl Jung. It's called The Red Book, and he's basically the psychologist who studied basically it's kind of like religion but with psychology. Like he's a Christian and stuff like that, but he proved that there is a God and stuff like that. But he talks about how God can live outside of us or inside of us, and the only way for you to find God it's raining, oh my gosh, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's raining. I was finna go for a run after this, but it's okay. Hashtag I could still probably go for a run. But he basically talks about how God can live inside of our fantasies, and that's where we know where He is, and that's where we love like God a lot, right? Because we love a God that lives inside of us. We love ourselves, and you know, basically He's very giving when He lives inside of us because He basically gives us the power to create the life we want. But if He lives outside of us, right? I'm talking about, I know a lot of people imagine God as like up in the sky or something like that, or I personally imagine Him up in the sky or something like that, you know? He is very punishful, right? Very daunting, very it I kind of see him like as a boss, right? Like cameras everywhere, he's watching everything I do, stuff like that, you know? Like he is all powerful, all like very punishing because he's like this huge guy, right? In the air, in the clouds, in the sky, basically. But if you imagine him inside of you, you have all this power, you feel good, you feel loving and giving, and you get what you think about, right? Because he's inside of you. You're basically creating the life you want. And by doing so, you love yourself more. You have you have the attention that you get, right? From God because he's inside you, right? You get the respect, you respect yourself more, obviously. And from doing so, you become less needy from towards people, right? Because you have all this stuff, you're getting it from the source. Why would you be needy for other people, right? Why would you be like, oh, I need this person's love. Come here, come here, come here. Come here, girl. Come here, girl. Come here, girl. Like I noticed that like a lot of guys, if they don't feel good or like they don't love themselves, they don't respect themselves, they don't you know, get enough attention, they go seek it out from other people. A lot of people do that. They seek it out from other girls. I remember back then I used to get with girls that weren't good for me because or like didn't respect me, didn't love me properly or anything, and I actually rejected the girls that actually did love me. Because didn't I thought I deserved someone better, you know, or I thought I didn't deserve anything better. But basically, by doing so, you'll become more attractive because you're less needy. Neediness is very anti-seductive. Okay, I'm a I might actually make a video about anti-seductive traits and stuff like that, so to help you guys out with girls and guys, because both it goes both ways. It's universal, right? So I'm gonna make a video about that. So stay tuned for that video if you want to watch it. Like and subscribe like right now, bro. Okay, tips on how to use solitude effectively. Okay, first one, don't be on social media. Um, you know, don't be on social media when you're trying to be alone in solitude, right? If you're being by yourself, and sometimes it takes a while, okay? It took me like a couple years of solitude to find what I want to do what I want to do, right? But social media is like a really big distraction, right? Because I remember when it was like during December of this year, I remember I wanted to play or be this character, right? I wanted to be someone else. I wanted to be Spider-Man. I wanted to be Patrick Bateman, like from American Psycho, right? Batman, Joker, all these crazy. Like I wanted to be the good guy and the bad guy, which is like I don't know. That's why we got the yin yang, right? The good and bad. I want to be both because if you have both, you're basically whole, right? You don't need anybody else. But the thing is like that's just bullshit right there. It's distracting. I'm trying to be someone else. Like yeah, I got motivated to work out. Like yeah, I pushed through hard stuff, and they are inspirations. Okay, they are a form of inspiration, and I do respect that. But how are you gonna be yourself if you are trying to always be like someone else? You won't be able to, right? So you need to sit in silence. You need to just get a journal in front of you. This is my gratitude journal. Hashtag I'm almost finished with the whole thing. Hey, couple pages left. But you just need to get a journal and sit down and write whatever you need to write, man. Whatever's going through your thoughts. Because I feel like a lot of people can't sit with like in silence. Like why can't you sit in silence? Like that's some BS right there. Like you can't sit with your own thoughts. Like what is your mind telling you that you can't sit with your own thoughts? And I had this for so long, yet I was avoiding. Like I thought that in my head, yet I was avoiding all these sounds from the kitchen that I didn't like because every time I would hear it, it felt like somebody was like stabbing me in my chest. But now I'm getting a little bit better. I'm getting less reactive. The only reason we act is because we reacted the first time or we were told not to do something. I remember one time my mom yelled at me because I was smacking too loud. I was eating like some chocolate right behind her, and I remember the face she looked. She looked like quit smacking, and like she like, she probably didn't mean anything from it. Like she probably like, she was aware of it. She didn't like it, stuff like that. But that kind of messed me up for like a good portion of my life, low key. I wasn't aware of it until my mom made me aware of it. And then at school, I was telling people, stop smacking, stop smacking. And then I just thought it was like a rule of life at that point. I thought everybody had to live by that shit. But now that I'm talking about it right now, is like low key, people just eat. They're just eating. They're fueling their body. They need to eat. But I used to think all these negative thoughts about people because they were smacking, and sometimes I get to the point where I don't want to be around people because of their smacking, and I feel bad for it. Like that's some past trauma that I need to heal from. Yet in the past, I would just avoid it, and I see all these guys out here who try to act nonchalant type shit, bro. Like nobody wants to act nonchalant. Nobody. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a difference between nonchalant and then acting nonchalant, bro. Like, oh, I remember when I was like in middle school, I would have my headphones in. I would act all nonchalant. I'd be in my I might add a picture right here. I think I have one of us at like Six Flags or something. Okay, I thought I was him, bro. I was not him. But I would just be, I'll have my hood on, like not trying to talk to anybody because I would avoid everybody. I didn't even want to be around my family. I couldn't enjoy myself. And I don't want y'all to live through that, right? I want y'all to live with like a happy family. I want y'all to be aware, present in the moment because low key, the screen is not worth it, man. There's so much more to be learned, okay? You're fucking numbing yourself just by looking at the screen all day and you think you're doing something productive and you see why you get a dopamine hit every time you scroll, and you see why you don't feel motivated to do anything in this life, man. You don't want to work out, but you're focused on girls that don't even like you probably, and you're probably fantasizing about girls that don't even think about you. They don't even know of your existence. Okay, I remember this guy at school, like right before I left. I was selling candy and stuff, and he kind of reminded me when I was he kind of reminded me of me when I was younger, when I would just like think about a girl. But basically, he was at the lunch table, and there's this girl all the way across the lunch table, and he liked the girl, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to encourage him to get him to go talk to her, and I was like, hey man, I'll give you this free candy to go give to her so you could get Rizzy. And he was like, nah man, I'm too scared. I'm like he wasn't saying I'm too scared, but he was like, nah, today's not the day or whatever. Like my hair is bad. I'm like, bro, you're just giving some BS excuse right now. Nobody cares what your hair looks like, man. Just go up and go talk to her. And I think he reminded me of me because I used to look at like stare fantasize, not fantasize, I guess fantasize, like imagine, me and this girl together, and she doesn't even know of my existence. She doesn't even know my name. She doesn't, all this stuff. And it was all because I was scared. And like you're hyper fixating on one girl when there's multiple girls out there. And if you would just go up and talk to her and get rejected right then and there, you would stop wasting your time thinking about her, right? And sometimes you need to just like um sell the ship low key. Like you just need to move on. And I feel like a lot of guys can't move on because that's all they know, right? The only reason you think you can't move on is because you think in scarcity mindset. You need to change your mindset from scarcity to abundance, and you'll see all these opportunities out here and actually go. Get out. Okay, so the file or the video kind of got corrupted, so I had to remake a new one, a new ending for this video, so bear with me. So the second thing is to get a journal, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to write one thing you're grateful for at the very top. It's going to put you in the mood to actually journal and be rational and think properly, because if you're in like a bad mood and you're about to journal, you're obviously going to be negative. And if you're going to ask yourself questions, how are you going to respond properly? And then the second thing is like ask yourself questions when you're journaling. So a really powerful one that I do recommend for most guys, if you don't know your purpose out there, is to ask yourself, if I had an unlimited supply of money, or like if I was like super rich and I never had to work again, what would I still be doing with my life? Like what work would I be doing? And basically that's your purpose in life. Basically that's how you want to help people. And the more questions you ask yourself, the more you find out about yourself. You love yourself because you know what's going on. I feel like a lot of people don't know who they are, and it's like holding themselves back, and they're trying to be like someone else when really they just need to find who they are and listen to their inner calling. Because when they listen to their inner calling, everything in their life is aligned, and when everything is aligned, you feel like a fucking Chad, and you can do whatever you want. Okay. The third thing is to sit down and meditate. You can do it for 5 to 10 minutes, or you can start off with 1 minute. But meditation is basically sitting without any stimulation. It's literally looking straight at your thoughts, so you know what's going on. You just have to bring your awareness to it, okay? And you could try mindfulness meditation, which is very useful, or you can just sit down and look at your thoughts and see what's going on, because I feel like a lot of people can't sit with their thoughts, and I feel like that's very weird, because like what is going on in your head? But I know what it feels like. I know I've been through it and all that stuff. So this is going to help you heal trauma. You're basically looking at your thoughts head on, and the more you look at your thoughts, the more you're going to notice when you're thinking. And when you notice you're thinking, you can bring your focus back to the breath, and that's going to increase your attention span for you to actually do the work and stuff like that in the future, when you actually find your purpose and do all that stuff. And a lot of ways you could find your purpose is by looking through at what you liked at a very young age. I liked jumping, flipping, YouTube. I watched a hella YouTube when I was younger, and then I eventually found self improvement YouTube, which is very beneficial because, you know, it taught me to read, and I found books that I like, which also, uh, like I get to choose what I want to learn about, and that's very powerful right there. So I recommend reading, finding stuff you want to read about, be curious about every little topic because everything is really connected. You just got to figure out what you want to, learn about. Really, like if you want to learn about cooking, learn about cooking. If you want to learn about mastery girls, manifesting, thinking rich, the impossible ways. There's literally a book called the art of impossible, and it talks about how all these people who hit big and are successful are is basically like the winning formula. It's a really good book, actually. I need to start reading it again. So yeah, hashtag reread the book. But yeah, so yeah, that's basically it. A bonus tip, what I personally do is I go out and run in nature, and I just go for long runs. When I run, I feel like mental clarity afterwards, and I feel like $100. Basically in this life, the more happier you want to be, the more mental clarity you need. Okay, because when you think about it, if you're not thinking about anything, your mind isn't chatting bullshit to you, right? So the more thoughts we don't have, the more happiness we will have. Okay, that's why deep work is very important. That's why having your focus on one thing and not scattered everywhere, like training your mind to focus on one thing and only training it on that, you'll start to hit flow state more often. And the more you hit flow state, your body and mind are connected. Your body and breath are connected, and everything is just connected. So if you can connect your breath with your mind and body and they're on sync, you're basically at like peak performance right there, and you're basically at your max potential right there. So you're basically hitting flow 24/7, and when you hit flow 24/7, you're at like a superhuman level type shit. But yeah, that's basically the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video. I know it was a lot of stuff, and I know it was a very long video, but it's gonna increase your attention span, and I hope you enjoyed it. I love y'all. I hope y'all have an amazing day. Tomorrow I will be posting um anti-seducers. Okay, so stay tuned for that. We're gonna talk about how the 8 types of anti-seducers, and I'm gonna tell you what you could do to, be the opposite of that, because you want to seduce people, you want to be the attractive guy, you want to be attractive girl, or whatever, and I'm gonna help you do that. So if you watch the video, hell yeah, just let me know. I love y'all. Y'all having a great day. Like and subscribe, and yeah, bye. I love y'all.